Lady Bird is the solo directorial debut of Greta Gerwig, released in 2017 and starring Saoirse Ronan as a teenage girl growing up in 2002 Sacramento, California, and Laurie Metcalf as her caring but overbearing mother with whom she frequently clashes. I've chosen to do a review of this film because, as a lot of people who know me probably know, this is actually my favorite movie. Lady Bird opens with the title character and her mother driving home from a tour of various prospective colleges, and their conversation gradually becomes more passive-aggressive before escalating into a full-blown argument. This argument ends with Lady Bird literally throwing herself out of the moving car rather than letting her mother have the last word, and just like that, Gerwig has perfectly established the two main characters, their personalities, and the dynamic between them before the opening credits have even started. This prologue could honestly function on its own as a short film, and it perfectly sets the tone for the rest of the movie going forward. From here, the film unfolds over the course of 1 year as Lady Bird falls in love, acts in her school play, tries to win the acceptance of the popular kids at her school, and searches for a college that will excite her, while continuing to navigate this rocky relationship she has with her mother. The story is based in part on Gerwig's own teenage years, and it's clear that this is a project of deep personal significance to her. But a huge part of the reason it works as well as it does is because even though Lady Bird is at least partly a stand-in for the writer-director, Gerwig doesn't shy away from highlighting her imperfections as a person. She nearly alienates her best friend while trying to increase her own social standing, is often self-centered and insensitive, and seems completely oblivious to the financial struggles that her parents are going through right in front of her. She also has this idea about how she wishes she could live through something significant, even though the movie is set in 2002, mere months after 9/11. Despite all this, she remains a likable and relatable character throughout the film, and a huge part of that is down to Saoirse Ronan managing to be so winning on screen while still capturing the messiness of being a teenager on the verge of adulthood. She's not a perfect person by any means, but you understand everything she does even when you don't agree with it. Likewise, Laurie Metcalf is just perfect as her mother, managing to walk a really delicate line between being hard on her daughter and clearly just wanting the best for her. Just like Lady Bird herself, this is a character who could very easily have come across as unlikable or insufferable, but Metcalf manages to bring so much depth and humanity to her performance that you can always understand her character's point of view, even when it feels like she could be more understanding of her daughter. Together, the two of them have one of my favorite dynamics in all of cinema. This is helped by the fact that Gerwig just excels at writing believable, naturalistic dialogue that balances being hilariously funny and being insightful.
You are so infuriating.
Please stop yelling.
I'm not yelling. Oh, it's perfect.
Do you love it?
A lot of the time she'll just drop you right in the middle of a conversation, and it really feels like we're watching these chapters in real people's lives. Surrounding the two leads is a perfect supporting ensemble. Beanie Feldstein is really delightful as Lady Bird's best friend, Lucas Hedges and Timothée Chalamet are both perfectly cast as her first boyfriend and the pretentious hipster that she dates later on, and Tracy Letts gives a really beautiful performance as her father. This is a performance that I really think tends to get overlooked when people discuss this movie, but even though he's not as central to the story as Ronan or Metcalf, he still has some of the most moving sequences in the film. All of these characters are essentially archetypes that we've seen before in other teen movies, but Gerwig's writing and the performances of the actors managed to add new depth to these archetypes, allowing them to feel like real people you might have known in your own life rather than one-dimensional cutouts. This film also features one of the best balances of comedy and drama that I've ever seen in a movie. It's full of so many hilarious moments and quotable lines while also having some really profound insights about adolescent struggles and familial dynamics. Maybe the best illustration of how it pulls off such a tricky tonal balance is in the character of the priest played by Stephen McKinley Henderson, who is simultaneously one of the funniest characters in the movie and one of the saddest, sometimes within the same scene. Even though this movie isn't technically Gerwig's directorial debut, it is the movie that really established her as one of our best new filmmaking voices. It's not a visually flashy film by any means, but it absolutely has a very distinctive look to it, where the colors of the costumes and the buildings just really pop out without being hyper-stylized. This really adds to the feeling that we're watching somebody reflect on the memories of their adolescence through the cozy lens of nostalgia. I've seen Lady Bird a few times, and I find something new in it on each viewing. It's funny, it's moving, it's relatable on so many levels, and it makes for a perfect comfort watch that I can just turn on at any time when I need to just relax and feel warm. It's a very special movie to me, and in my view, one of the greatest coming-of-age films ever made.